Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, to another What If movie. Now, you've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail, you know what you're in for, so if you enjoy it, leave a like and enjoy. Alright, so this feels kind of weird. It's been a bit longer than I would like that I've recorded a Naruto video, and so now that I'm doing it, I don't know, I just feel a bit strange. I've been focusing way too much on My Hero lately, and that has a lot to do with the fact that I've just been getting commission after commission for My Hero vids, which, hey, I'm not complaining about, but I know some of you guys have been dying for Naruto What If. So here's this one. An idea that I came up with the other day, and funny enough, was then actually commissioned by someone, which was just incredible for me, which meant that I get to do the idea I actually already kind of wanted to do, and my boy gets an incredible commission. So yeah, I mean, two birds with one stone. And the idea, I mean, obviously you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title. It's like a Grim Reaper Naruto kind of, but the concept that I mostly wanted to go with was following kind of a Bleach type of storytelling, because I won't lie to you guys, I've seen like the first 4 episodes of Bleach, but that's it, right? So I don't know too much about Bankais or all the crazy stuff that comes with it, but I wanted to take similar concepts from that story and apply it here, in the sense that Naruto's going to be operating with the Death Reaper's powers due to some changes that are obviously going to be happening with the seal. So honestly, I have no real like non-contrived version to make this work. This is very, very fanficky, but essentially what I want to have happen is that when the Soul Reaper is in the process of, well, sealing the Nine Tails within Naruto in exchange for Minato's life, the Soul Reaper will essentially look at the baby Naruto and have an idea pop into its head. It would think, what would happen if I took over a mortal body? Having been, you know, the Soul Reaper for so many eons, it pretty much decides to do just that. And so, in the moment of sealing the Nine Tails, the Death Reaper would also seal itself within the cage. Or maybe not the cage, but like in some aspect he would seal himself into Naruto, like his essence, where the way that everything is going to be working is that the Soul Reaper could take control of Naruto's body whenever he goes into a very riled up state, which I think was going to be kind of how we're going to be using it. And when Naruto goes into that state, not only does Naruto like obviously get a power amp, but I want him to have like a Shinigami mask, like that of the Death Reaper, where he has like a really cool mask, kind of similar to the one that Orochimaru wore when he summoned obviously the previous Hokage, but a bit cooler looking and purple in color. And he's also going to be having like a cool little scythe tool, just because who's ever heard of a Grim Reaper without a scythe? So yeah, let's begin our story. I think a good spot to start everything off would possibly be the Land of the Waves mission, because prior to that, there's nothing in the story that would make sense for Naruto to awaken a power-up like this. So while Naruto would be within the Ice Mirror Jutsu of Haku, and he and Sasuke would be attempting everything to break out, Naruto spamming Shadow Clone, Sasuke dodging via his Sharingan, this is when suddenly, as Naruto would stay still, Sasuke would cry out, "Naruto!" as he would lunge into the way, pushing Naruto out, and suddenly Sasuke would be skewered by a multitude of senbons. As Naruto would look back, he would feel a mixture of hatred, rage, and sadness, and all of these feelings would perfectly coincide with the conditions that the Reaper needs to take over. So in that moment, Naruto would pass out, slightly slumping to the ground before suddenly standing back up, and everybody would take note. The chakra signal coming off of Naruto in this moment would be bizarre, and this is only Naruto accessing about 20% of the 20% is way too much. I feel like that could straight up kill him. 10% of the Grim Reaper's power, which, mind you, would easily be enough to destroy Haku, Kakashi, and Zabuza all where they're standing. However, due to Naruto's limited factor of his young body, this would leave the Grim Reaper with limited options as to what to do. So, as a creepy smile would form underneath the mask that would have appeared, the Grim Reaper, clamping onto the scythe, feeling the strength of this mortal body, but also the limitations, would take one step. This step would literally shatter Naruto's leg. Like, you know how Deku does whenever he uses one for all? That's literally what happens. As yielding the scythe, he would slash at Haku, cutting him in half. Haku's body falling limp to the ground as blood would splatter on the mask, and almost instantaneously after having landed that blow, Naruto would fall flat unconscious on the ground. Zabuza and Kakashi both staring, with the hairs on the back of their necks having practically lifted up. It's at this point that we would see what would have happened to Haku's soul, seeing as he was killed by a Grim Reaper, and it would be revealed that it was taken into the cage of Kurama. With the ramifications of this action not being shown, mostly due to the fact that I still haven't fully figured out the kinks and tinks that I want for this. Just because, if I'm being real, this video is 100% unscripted, and honestly, I think I'm just gonna have more fun with it like that. So yeah. But anyways, moving on, what would take place after this would happen is that Kakashi, having captured Zabuza within his dog jutsu, would quickly slay Zabuza in this timeline, with Kakashi being the only last line of defense against Gato's men. But remember, Kakashi was extremely drained, and even though Zabuza did take out a majority of Gato's men, if not all of them, it literally cost him his life, which means that for them to actually survive in this timeline, Kakashi would low-key have to do the same. That is, if it weren't for the actual villagers of the town coming to aid Kakashi. I feel like this would be just enough for Gato to push back and leave the area, deciding that it's just not worth it anymore, and he'd rather just leave with his life. So with that being the case, the Great Naruto Bridge would once again be named just that, and after this would take place, we would then have reports being given to Hiruzen, the team then being dismissed, as Kakashi would remain in the office with Hiruzen. This is when he would go on to tell him that while on the mission, he saw something absolutely terrifying, and actually, it was the reason for Naruto's great injuries, which for some reason or another managed to heal almost perfectly, due to the Grim Reaper having used Kurama's chakra to heal him just before his essence had fully disappeared, meaning that instead of having shattered leg, Naruto would have had a bruised leg instead. Which obviously would still leave Naruto to like literally hobbling around and kind of like walking kind of funny, but hey, it's better than having your freaking leg shattered, which mind you, threatened to actually destroy Rock Lee's career as a ninja. But I digress. Hiruzen would then ask Kakashi what that was, and this is when Kakashi would go on to explain that somewhere during the battle between Naruto, Sasuke, and Haku, Naruto ended up losing his sense of self and seemed to be replaced by the actual Grim Reaper himself. Hiruzen would dang near get out of his chair at hearing that, saying, "Are you sure?" To which Kakashi would nod, explaining to Hiruzen the sensation that he felt, the ominous aura of literal death. And how in the moment that Naruto landed that strike on Haku, there was no noise, there was no last words, there was nothing. Just immediate death. Hiruzen hearing that would then look out the window, asking him what he looked like. Kakashi telling him that that was actually the thing that confirmed his suspicions, explaining to Hiruzen that in the moment that Naruto transformed, he thinks he saw Naruto having a mask and a scythe, two things that managed to appear out of thin air. So with Hiruzen having access to the actual Reaper Death Seal jutsu and understanding the functionalities of it, he would tell Kakashi to keep a close eye on Naruto, saying that they must figure out why it was that happened in that moment, and if there's anything they can do to prevent this from continuing forward. So as Kakashi would bow and exit the room, Hiruzen would just be flooded with thoughts. Minato, you didn't use that jutsu to seal the nine tails within your son, did you? He would think, wondering if that could have been the catalyst for the Reaper to have taken over. But as Hiruzen would think this, he would shake his head, saying that there's no way Minato could have done that, as he would proceed to have a worried expression before sitting down and thinking to himself that if worse comes to worse, they may need to put down the boy in order to stop the Reaper from fully manifesting, if something like that is the case. And so, this is when we would jump cut to Naruto, who would be in his room practically screaming, "Ah! How in the world did I injure my leg? And why is nobody telling me what happened? When I asked Kakashi if he saw anything, he says that he was busy fighting Zabuza, and when I asked Sakura about it, she has a scared look on her face. I don't get what's going on here, Naruto would say, since keep in mind, this is literally OG Naruto at this point. But this is when suddenly Kakashi appearing at Naruto's door would knock. And so Naruto getting up, hobbling towards it, would ask Kakashi what's up, him telling him that he would like to have a meeting with the team, before then beginning to explain the nature of the bell test and everything that's going to be taking place in that. Naruto hearing that would say, "All right, that sounds awesome!" As Sasuke would have a nonchalant smirk on his face, and Sakura's like, "Well, if Sasuke's gonna join, then I have to," looking at Naruto a bit scared, wondering if that thing was ever gonna come out again. Was that the Nine Tails? She would have suspicions, but since she doesn't know, she would just put it in the back of her head. She'll be with Sasuke after all. And so, as time would progress, eventually the team would find themselves within the walls of the Chunin exams tower. It's here that they would be searching for the room, recognizing that a genjutsu has been placed after circling 2 times. And once they would do this, a team would approach them. Specifically, Team Guy. One member in particular saying, "My name is Rock Lee, and I wish to fight you, Sasuke Uchiha." Sasuke smirking and telling him that there's no way he's gonna do that, before Rock Lee would completely change his tune and ask Sakura to practically marry him. Or not marry him, actually, what he says in the original is, "Be my girlfriend," with a thumbs up and like a wink, but she's like, "Ew, no, you're disgusting." Which, bro, that's just crazy, bro. Like that reminds me of you know those little things where it's like the worst she can say is no. That's literally what it makes me think about when I remember that scene. But anyways, once Rock Lee's heart would be absolutely shattered to a million pieces, he would face off against Sasuke, resulting in the same stuff as usual, as we would then move on to the written section of the exam, which obviously, because Naruto still isn't aware of his powers, would not change at all, and we would then get into the Forest of Death part, where we're actually going to be jumping straight to the meat of the action, which is once Orochimaru would show up, and Naruto would manage to free himself from the snake via the Shadow Clone Jutsu. As Naruto would rush towards his team, this is when Naruto would watch Sasuke bleeding from his leg, all the while being locked in combat with Orochimaru, or a woman in his eyes, due to the fact that he's still not aware who this ninja is. Rushing towards Sasuke to help, Naruto would be flung away by one of Orochimaru's jutsus, which would piss the boy off enough to actually lead him to access the power of the Nine Tails, and not the Reaper. Reasoning for this is because there's 2 caveats for Naruto to actually tap into that power. Number 1, Naruto needs to be feeling immense hatred and a desire to kill. And number 2, Naruto needs to feel a crazy amount of sorrow and sadness, seeing as that comes with death. You get sad, you're angry, and those emotions that are typically around whenever you lose somebody are the things that trigger this transformation. So as Naruto's Nine Tails power would be going crazy, and he tells Sasuke, "What? You scared? Scaredy cat?" Going on a fight against Orochimaru, doing way better than Sasuke ever could. This is when Orochimaru would send Naruto flying into a tree, before then extending his neck towards Sasuke, chomping down on him and saying, "Well, I'd be lying if I said this wasn't entertaining. I've got other things to do, Sasuke. Make sure you survive," before the man would attempt to leave. However, this is when a chilling presence would enter the area, due to Naruto's extreme rush of emotions in that moment, at seeing Sasuke fall from literally like 20 feet into the air and just not move at all. Naruto would be enraged and would truly experience the same emotions that he thought he felt when he thought Sasuke died. So, as the Reaper would take over and the mask would appear, this time in a half-in state due to Naruto's current emotions, this is when he would rush towards Orochimaru, screaming out, "How dare you kill Sasuke!" 2 voices ringing out in that moment, the one of Naruto and a very sinister voice, which would be grasping onto a scythe, instantly slashing at the direction of Orochimaru, him barely managing to avoid the scythe, shocked at the speed and strength, before lunging backwards and shooting a snake attack at Naruto. Naruto disappearing in an instant, with Orochimaru turning around to hear the creaking sounds of Naruto's legs, as Naruto would squeeze onto his scythe, blood beginning to come out of his fingers, half of his face in tears, while the other half would look evil and menacing. He would swipe at his scythe once again, Orochimaru's clothes and hair having been cut in that moment, as he would weave the hand signs for a gigantic fireball jutsu. This ball of flames would fly at Naruto, as Naruto slashes into the the air, completely destroying the jutsu where it stands, before then suddenly using both legs to lunge at Orochimaru, each of them breaking in that moment, Naruto crying out, "Ah!" as squeezing onto the scythe even harder than before, the mask now fully covering Naruto's face due to his desire to kill this person. The influence of the Reaper growing stronger, Naruto would slash at the air, Orochimaru actually using an incredibly massive, gigantic wall. You remember the one that he used to literally dodge the point blank tailed beast bomb? That would pop up, but Naruto, completely negating the jutsu itself, would slice through that thing as though it was butter. Orochimaru being nicked by the blade of the scythe, with Naruto and Orochimaru now in a clear power struggle. Orochimaru could now see the visible image of the Reaper behind Naruto with a smile on his face, as it would use all of the strength within Naruto's body to start tugging at the soul of Orochimaru. Orochimaru in this moment would cry out, "What? The Reaper!" And from a mere child, no less. He would fight back, screaming out, "What is a child doing with a jutsu this strong?" All the while pulling all of his physical will to stop his soul from being ripped out of his body. The Soul Reaper would have already dragged out his arms, with Orochimaru literally starting to beg for mercy, understanding that there's no such jutsu that could save him in this moment of peril. So, as he stares at the Reaper's smile, which would be appearing since he was about to consume his soul, this is when suddenly its smile would turn into a dissatisfied look. Orochimaru staring as the Grim Reaper would suddenly fade, and Orochimaru's arms being the only thing that were taken from him in that moment, he would instantly just disappear, watching the body of Naruto fall limp to the ground, unwilling to take the chance that the Reaper could come back out. So with Naruto's unconscious body now falling from the tree stump they were having a battle for, this is when Orochimaru would take his chance to escape. Sakura going over towards the body of Naruto and understanding that not only does she have Sasuke out of it completely, but now even Naruto. This would lead Sakura to taking care of both of her teammates for the foreseeable few hours, as eventually the Sound Genin would roll up on Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura, leading to the same altercation that we get in the original, because keep in mind, there's gonna be no influence from the Reaper during this scene, meaning that the team would report back to Kakashi, Sasuke would eventually have his curse mark sealed inside of him, and we would then have Sakura telling Kakashi what she witnessed, that Naruto had faced off against a ninja with white pale skin, purple eyes, and she thinks won. She would describe in detail how that man used an incredible amount of jutsu, speed, and just different techniques that she had never expected out of a genin. Before then saying that that wasn't the worst of it, saying that Naruto once again transformed into something that even made that guy terrified, and had him running for the hills at the first moment he could. Kakashi, hearing this, would nod his head, understanding that clearly the Reaper had come back out, and as Kakashi would think about this, he would realize that that was a good thing too, because the person that she seems to be describing is none other than Orochimaru. And in that moment, Kakashi could only be grateful that Naruto actually tapped into some strange power, because that's the only reason they're still alive, he would believe. With this information being given to them, this is when they would all eventually partake in the 1v1 battles, with there actually being a significant change in Naruto's first fight, considering the fact that Naruto having gone Reaper mode all those times would eventually have led Naruto to have kept some sort of muscle memory from the movements of the Reaper itself. So due to that, this would make Naruto at the bare minimum 2 times faster once his body would sort of heal for this fight. And so with Naruto stepping in the ring with Kiba, Kiba would say, "Check it out, Akamaru, guess we got lucky. We're for sure moving on to the next round if we got against Naruto." Naruto looking at Kiba with an angry expression as the proctor would begin the match, and in an instant, Naruto moving at speeds way faster than what he was ever used to before, he would lunge the direction of Kiba, shocking him, "What, Naruto?" before landing a punch square to his face and sending him flying backwards, tumbling on the ground, leaving Akamaru to attempt to bark and then lunge at Naruto to try to bite onto his ankle. However, before that would happen, Naruto would kick him away, Kiba getting back up and asking what's the deal? When did Naruto get so damn fast? Naruto saying that he didn't. before suddenly Kiba would lunge at Naruto, and Naruto would be able to dodge every blow, moving at speeds that Naruto wasn't accustomed to, but for some reason his body just felt like it was natural. And as everybody would watch, there would be a couple of people taking note of this, namely Sasuke, who would note that Naruto's moving faster than he's ever seen him before, Sakura, who's scared that that power would be coming out, and Kakashi, who would formulate a theory on whether transforming into that state has subconsciously made Naruto stronger via the process of muscle memory. So with Naruto completely outspeeding Kiba and being able to land way more blows on him that Kiba could muster, this is when Kiba would be knocked out flat on the ground, 2 Kibas unconscious, as the proctor would announce Naruto as the winner. After this would be said and done, Naruto would leap in the air going, "Yeah! I beat you, Kiba! So much for a weakling, huh?" Naruto finishing the battle off before making his way towards where the other Genin were and being gifted an ointment from Hinata. Naruto would say thanks for that, as he would actually immediately go on to apply it to his legs, saying, "Ah, my legs feel a million times better. Thanks so much." Hinata smiling, going, "Of course, Naruto-kun," to which Naruto would walk off and then wait for the next couple of battles. Naruto would watch the Gaara versus Lee fight in shock, being like, "He's so fast," until eventually the final battle would play out, which would be Hinata versus Neji. And when this battle would start getting to its climax and Neji would continue landing attack after attack after attack on Hinata, Naruto would get angrier and feel a sense of sadness. The fact that he was doing that to his cousin was making him feel uneasy, and as the lands would start striking, Naruto would yell out, "Why is nobody stopping the fight? He clearly won! He's gonna kill her!" That Kakashi would place his hand on Naruto's shoulder, nodding that he can't do anything. This is when the aura in the entire area would shift, as one of Naruto's eyes would turn black with a yellow accent in them, as Kakashi would realize who's about to come out, before in an instant stopping the battle, saying that Neji has done way too much damage to her and he's already won. Neji scoffing at this, accepting the win, with Hiruzen looking at Kakashi and nodding, having sensed the shift of chakra within Naruto. And with the Chunin exams coming to a close, the 1-month break would be given to all the participants who won. Naruto thinking to himself that he can't wait to start training, that he's gonna show that bully Neji a thing or two. However, as Naruto would be saying that, this is when Hiruzen would ask Naruto to be taken to his office by tapping him on the back. Naruto turning to see Hiruzen asking, "Hey old man, what's up?" Hiruzen looking at Naruto with a smile and saying that he would like to speak with him privately. And so, making their way towards Hiruzen's office, Hiruzen would proceed to signal to his Anbu guards that are keeping watch to exit the room. Naruto saying, "Whoa, I didn't even notice them." Hiruzen smiling, saying that that's the point, that they're his guards. Naruto would then ask, "So what's up, old man? You gonna give me this month's rent or what?" with a cheeky smile. Hiruzen simply just looking at Naruto, telling him that it's nothing like that, it's actually a bit more serious. Naruto locking in before Hiruzen would ask him if he's ever experienced a moment where he feels like he just blanks and suddenly someone else takes over. Naruto would ask what the heck he's talking about with a weird smile. "What do you mean someone else?" Hiruzen saying, "So he doesn't know." Naruto going, "Doesn't know what?" Hiruzen telling Naruto that effective immediately, Naruto is going to actually be training under him. Naruto staring at Hiruzen with expectant eyes going, "Wait, you mean it? I get to train with the Hokage for the next month?" Hiruzen telling him, "Not quite. At least for the next 4 days he will," before explaining to him that he can't exactly take that much time off his Hokage duties, and explaining to Naruto that he's actually going to have someone else step in his place once he can no longer do it, by the name of Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin and one of the most promising ninjas in Leaf history ever. Naruto hearing that would be excited, saying, "No way, why is he getting all this special treatment all of a sudden?" Hiruzen getting serious and sitting Naruto down, telling him that he needs to be honest and transparent with him. He would then go on to explain that within Naruto, there not only resides the power of the Nine Tails, but he and even his sensei Kakashi believe that within him resides the power of death itself. Naruto asking what does he mean by that? Hiruzen explaining that to be more specific, the power of the Grim Reaper. Naruto being stunned, not even believing in the concept of a Grim Reaper or anything like that. But as Hiruzen would look into his eyes with a glare that's just telling him that there's no lie in his lips, Naruto would say, "You mean it?" to which Hiruzen would go on to explain that Kakashi had told them what had taken place during the battle on the bridge, that Naruto had seemingly turned into somebody else and used the scythe weapon to kill Haku. Naruto in this moment would have a look of shock on his face saying, I didn't, I couldn't, right? To which Hiruzen, placing a hand on his shoulder, would tell him that it's okay, that it's the ninja world, and sometimes it's kill or be killed, so he doesn't blame him for that. Naruto, taking a sigh of relief but still feeling bad, would then ask if this has ever happened again. Hiruzen going on to explain that he's not too sure since he wasn't there for the second time, and this is all going off of what Sakura says, but he seemingly fought toe-to-toe with another legendary Sannin, Orochimaru, a rogue shinobi that's been doing horrible things, and currently is trying to do something, which the Leaf doesn't know, with Sasuke. Naruto in this moment would have an angered but confused look, asking what? Hiruzen explaining to him that right now his goals are uncertain, but if he had to guess, he probably wants the Uchiha's Kekkei Genkai. Naruto saying the Sharingan, right? Hiruzen nodding. It's at this point that Hiruzen would go on to explain to Naruto that due to that power that he has within him, his goal is going to be for Naruto to learn how to access that power when absolutely necessary, but most of all, he's going to learn how to actually shut it off. Because if the time ever comes where Naruto were to turn on his teammates, there's nothing anybody could do to stop him. And so with that being the case, Hiruzen would ask Naruto a simple question. How did Naruto feel when he saw Sasuke being attacked and was in that life or death situation against the Ice Ninja? Naruto would look away before explaining that in that moment, he felt rage. He felt a desire to kill Haku in retaliation for Haku having seemingly killed Sasuke in front of him, who literally threw his life away to save his. And so Hiruzen, hearing that, would say the catalyst could be anger. Naruto saying that if the catalyst was anger, then he should have transformed a multitude of times, but he didn't. Hiruzen, kind of like playing with his chin hair before looking to Naruto and saying, what other emotions did you feel? Was there sadness? Naruto nodding, saying that he felt so incredibly sad at the fact that he thought Sasuke could actually be dead. Hiruzen having everything click in his mind as he would say, that's it. That has to be it. Anger, sadness, sorrow. Those are the emotions that one would typically find at a funeral. The emotions linked with death. Hiruzen in this moment would tell Naruto that he knows what it is, before advising Naruto to control himself and his emotions. This is when Hiruzen would go on to teach Naruto a bit of jutsu, help him clean up his taijutsu, and that would pretty much be it considering the time constraints. Eventually, Hiruzen, during the final day that he would have with Naruto, he would eventually call all of the Anbu at his disposal, informing them all that what they're actually about to do could be the most dangerous missions in their entire Anbu careers. Them all nodding and pledging their allegiance to the Hokage, saying that they'd be willing to throw their lives away for any mission he would give them. Hiruzen nodding before telling Naruto to close his eyes. This is when Hiruzen would propose a scenario in Naruto's head, to start thinking about a situation in which Sakura, Kakashi, and Sasuke would die. As Naruto would hear those words, his eyes would go wide, as Naruto would ask Hiruzen why, and Hiruzen would tell him to simply do it. Naruto closing his eyes, picturing the scenario vividly. Hiruzen asking him, how does that make you feel? Naruto saying, sad. To which Hiruzen would go on to tell him that that's not enough, before looking at Naruto and telling him that he needs to feel not only a conjunction of anger and sadness, but sorrow and regret. Naruto hearing that would attempt it, but he wouldn't be able to quite hit the emotions he needs to access the power. And this is when Hiruzen would sigh, placing Naruto under a genjutsu, tricking his mind into believing that he was once again in the forest of death, Sasuke having passed out with the man in Orochimaru who he can create vividly, taunting Naruto and telling him that he's next. And Naruto experiencing these emotions once again would leave half of a mask to appear on Naruto's face, a scythe starting to materialize itself in front of Naruto, Hiruzen watching on as half of Naruto's face would turn into that of the Grim Reaper, and Hiruzen would say that they were right. This is when he would tell Naruto to calm himself, that it was just but Naruto, now being in the state of the Grim Reaper, would lunge towards one of the Anbu men, before the Reaper would suddenly have a cheeky smile on its face under the mask, stopping, giving all reins to Naruto, who now standing there, Soul Reaper mask fully activated and with the scythe in his hand, feeling the power coursing through his body as though he could slice a mountain in half just by simply waving his scythe. Naruto would ask Hiruzen if this is that power. Hiruzen looking at him and noticing that not only has he accessed the power of the Reaper, but the chakra of the Nine Tails seems to be flowing throughout him, helping him to heal the injuries his body sustaining simply from using this augmented power that isn't his. Hiruzen would think it's fascinating, telling Naruto to turn it off, which Naruto would do so, the Grim Reaper smiling within the cage that is Naruto, as it would think to himself that giving Naruto the illusion of control over his powers is the best bet he could make, because the more strength Naruto's capable of accessing via the Reaper, the more control Naruto's unknowingly giving access to death itself. So with Naruto smiling, turning to Hiruzen, this is when suddenly Jiraiya would appear. "Long time no see, sensei," Jiraiya would say, Naruto staring at the white-haired man and asking if this is his next trainer. Hiruzen nodding, with Jiraiya extending a hand out and saying, "Nice to meet you, kid. Name's Jiraiya." "Oh yeah, and I'm Naruto, by the way." Jiraiya nodding as if to say, "I know, kid." Us watching as Jiraiya would be pulled to the side by Hiruzen, who looking towards him with a very serious expression, would then tell him that what he's asking him to do is of great importance, and that he needs to train the boy properly, because if not, the boy could become one of the greatest threats the world has ever seen. He would go on to explain the very short burst of Naruto's power he was actually able to witness, and he would tell Jiraiya that the strength he can draw from is just terrifying. Jiraiya staring back at him with the look of just like, okay, keep going, as Hiruzen would go on to explain to him what they found. Number one, being that Naruto's power is drawn from emotions, and number two, that Naruto may have a way to actually access this power without it being dangerous to the Leaf, going on to explain to Jiraiya that there were two noteworthy things. Number one, being that Naruto has a berserker state and a controlled state, explaining that in his berserker state he believes that the actual Reaper itself is the one controlling Naruto, and in his normal state, or the way that he actually gets to use this power, it's Naruto with these crazy augments that also come with using the ability of the Nine Tails, or at least its healing factor. Jiraiya hearing this would be shocked, saying that there's no way. Hiruzen saying that honestly, there shouldn't be a way, that if any normal 12-year-old, or 13 I believe it was actually, was to wield this power, normally their body would probably just give out on them. But due to Naruto actually possessing the Nine Tails within him and its regenerative capabilities, he would say that he believes the Reaper is drawing on said power to make Naruto's body a more sustainable vessel for his strength. Going on to explain that if he had to guess how much the Reaper could truly draw upon, he would say it's about 10 if not 12%. Jiraiya looking at him and asking if that's very impressive. Hiruzen telling him that the chakra that he managed to use, while also being incredibly massive, was also just flat out terrifying. Jiraiya nodding before saying that he'll do everything he can, not only to strengthen the kid so he could draw upon more of the strength, but also to train him to control this ability. And so with Hiruzen hearing that, he would simply nod, telling him that he already knew that, before signaling to his Anbu that they can clear out. All of them would immediately go at ease as they would all body flicker away, Hiruzen making his way towards his office as Jiraiya and Naruto would be left standing there. It's here that Jiraiya would ask Naruto a couple more questions about his power, Naruto explaining as much as he can, saying that honestly, he realistically just found out about it. Jiraiya being shocked, going, "What? Kid, you mean to tell me you drew upon this strength you had no idea about and just used it willy-nilly?" Naruto looking at Jiraiya and just being like, well, basically, believe it. As Jiraiya is all like, all right, well, I guess we're gonna get to training. He would start everything off by focusing the first week on meditation as well as strength training to give Naruto a better control over his mind. And so, with that being the case, he would practically put Naruto through similar training to what Might Guy does, absolutely destroying Naruto's body completely, him being absolutely exhausted after the 1 week of training would be over, him spending the final week not learning the summoning jutsu, but instead learning how to summon the power that he has deep inside of him. And with Naruto's training with Jiraiya happening, and the Reaper being aware of Naruto's now consciousness of him having this strange ability within himself, the Reaper would gladly allow Naruto to draw from his power with a sinister smile on his face, as every time that Naruto would make a new achievement via Jiraiya using his Genjutsu to awaken the powers within him, Naruto would begin to feel more and more confident about himself, beginning to sort of let the power start taking control over him, or make him overconfident, I guess is the word I'm going for. Because keep in mind, Naruto is a kid, and a kid that is low-key desperate for attention. So when Naruto knows that he has the opportunity to showcase this newfound strength that nobody ever expected out of him during the Chunin exams, oh, you bet your butt he will. Because once the Chunin exams period would finally come, as Naruto would make his way to the ring, he would walk over towards Neji with newly found swagger, just absolutely feeling himself, all the while Neji would be spouting some nonsense about destiny. The moment that the proctor would say begin, Naruto would shut his eyes as suddenly half of a mask would appear on Naruto's face and a scythe would materialize in front of himself. In that moment, every single fiber of Neji's being would scream out, "Death," as he would stare at Naruto, who in an instant would appear right next to Neji before landing a blow square to his stomach that would knock him out in one shot, Neji having barely even seen a blur before Naruto's fist was embedded into his stomach and he was sent crashing into the wall of the Chunin exams. The battle would be over before it would begin, and as everybody in the stadium would be feeling an overwhelming sense of dread, suddenly Naruto would turn said power back off, his face returning back to normal, with everybody around kind of having a sigh of relief. This is when Hiruzen, staring at the direction of Jiraiya, would give him a nod, Jiraiya signaling one back, as then we would have the iconic battle between Sasuke and Gaara, which in this timeline, due to Gaara exiting the facility of the actual examination room, Sasuke would be declared the winner, Sasuke chasing after Gaara, all the while the proctors would all kind of look around at Sasuke, Kakashi signaling to Naruto to go after them. Naruto doing so as Hiruzen would signal to everyone to stop, saying that once that situation is handled, they'll continue the Chunin exams. Mind you, in this specific timeline, Orochimaru won't be attacking the village due to the fact that his arms were taken from him, and I don't think Orochimaru's stupid enough to try to attack the village without his arms, especially considering how hard the fight already was when he did have his arms. So yeah, instead, we actually zoom into Naruto chasing after the direction of Sasuke, eyes closing as a Reaper mask would appear on Naruto's face and his clothes would change as well. Naruto thinking that's a new one before taking a step and boom, appearing right next to Sasuke and Gaara. Gaara literally going insane as the Reaper would take over for a second of Naruto's body. Naruto being like, what? As suddenly his hand would extend, holding onto the stomach of the actual body of Gaara so fast that he didn't even know what was happening. Like, this was practically slow motion, right? And in an instant, all of Shukaku's power would drain from Gaara, his body falling limp to the ground as Gaara would be dead, having had his tailed beast extracted from him, which, remember, killed somebody even as strong as Naruto, and we've already seen Gaara die to that, so yeah. Anyways, with Sasuke standing there right next to Naruto, he would stare at him with an expression of, what is that? Naruto staring back at Sasuke, one of his eyes glowing purple as his other one, still blue, would stare back at Sasuke. This is when suddenly Naruto would regain full control and stare at Sasuke, then at the body of Gaara, asking what happened. Sasuke staring at Naruto and telling him that he drained the life out of him. Naruto staring at Sasuke and saying there's no way he couldn't have, as he would stare at Gaara, attempting to shake him awake, but realized that there was just nothing he could do in that moment. And so, staring back at Sasuke holding the body of Gaara on his back, Naruto would report back to the Leaf Village, about to explain what had happened when Sasuke would cut him off, telling him that he had killed Gaara, and Naruto arrived just a bit too late. This is when Hiruzen would nod his head, saying it's just fortunate that one of the contestants have died, saying he will be informing the Kazekage of the Sand Village for all the damages that have taken place, before then nodding and signaling to Naruto and Sasuke to get into the ring, since the finals were going to be happening one way or another. So as Naruto would stare at Sasuke, questioning him like with the gaze of if he truly wants to do this, especially after he had lost control and killed someone, Sasuke would nod, telling him not to hold back, as we then hear the exam proctor say Hajime, and in an instant the battle would be over, Naruto having used 30% of his power with the cloak waving in the wind, as he would have once more landed an instant KO punch to Sasuke's stomach, sending him to the hospital where Sasuke would actually have to have a little surgery done on him because the blow Naruto landed was just insane, to put it lightly. Anyways, once these events would be over, due to the fact that Lady Tsunade's services won't be required, we're actually not going to be getting that section of the story where Naruto and Jiraiya go off and search for her, and instead, we're going to be filling that gap of time with Naruto simply training on his own alongside Jiraiya, working on his physical body to be able to access more of this incredible power. Jiraiya and Naruto having been sparring in the woods when suddenly two cloaked figures would appear, those being Itachi and Kisame. And the moment that both figures would get closer to Naruto, this is when suddenly Naruto, already having his Reaper mask on, as well as his cool little cloak that comes with the transformation that, he just unlocked due to accessing more of its power, Naruto would watch as Itachi and Kisame would tell Jiraiya to hand the boy over. Jiraiya saying that he doesn't believe he will. In fact, he doesn't believe Naruto will go. This is when Itachi would attempt using Genjutsu on Jiraiya to mobilize him, so that this way they could simply take Naruto. However, in the moment that the jutsu would hit Jiraiya, Naruto would snap him right out of it by placing a finger on him, Reaper having taken over at this point since it was craving a fight. And with that being said, as the Reaper would grab onto its scythe and lunge towards the direction of Kisame, leg literally shattering from the Reaper surpassing the strength it has access to, Kisame would burst into fourths, his body having been cut in an X-like shape as his torso, head, arms, and legs would all be separated. Strike landing so fast that in the blurred motion of the attack, Itachi could swear to have seen the Reaper itself. So Itachi, deciding that his best bet would be to use a Genjutsu, would do just that, tapping into the power of his Mangekyo Sharingan as he would quickly send the Genjutsu at Naruto, who in an instant would break out of it, even before a tenth of a second could even pass. So with Itachi realizing that the opponent he was facing off against was literal death itself, Itachi would feel a sense of dread come over him, firing up his Susanoo immediately and keeping Naruto at bay. This, however, would only earn a smile from the Reaper, as it would blitz towards the direction of Itachi, shattering the Susanoo that it had within him and grabbing him by the throat, beginning to squeeze it. He would crush Itachi's vocal cords, Itachi unable to utter a single word, as the Reaper would simply signal with the tiny body of Naruto, "Shh," as Itachi's soul would be ripped out of its body. This is when we would see Naruto snap back into his own self, as looking around and seeing the devastation, the two cloaked figures he had just caught a glimpse of on the ground, both dead, one severely maimed and the other in Itachi, simply unmoving. So with Naruto staring at this, he would stay still, hands shaking, realizing that I did this. This is when Jiraiya, finally fully conscious from being tapped out of the Genjutsu, would stare at Naruto, since those events would have literally happened in 2 seconds. This is when Jiraiya, recognizing what had actually just taken place, would begin having suspicions about the Reaper, at least in regards to the actual nature of the control Naruto truly has. Jiraiya deciding that maybe it would be in their best interest to stop their training with the Reaper powers. In fact, it would probably be in their better interest to stop training Naruto for this power at all. And since Jiraiya would be having these thoughts, after snapping out of it, he would place his hand on Naruto, simply telling him that it's okay, and that in that moment he didn't have control. However, he must have, considering nothing happened to him, right? Naruto would nod, as his body would still be shaking from the shock of everything, and he would then go into the arms of Jiraiya, saying that he didn't do all of this, and that he's not a killer, he would cry out, Jiraiya holding his body and saying, "It's okay, Naruto." As we would then jump cut to Naruto and Jiraiya inside of his home, sharing a cup of ramen, when suddenly Kakashi would knock at the door, signaling to Jiraiya that they need to have a word. So Jiraiya, telling him that he has to go off on a mission, would then leave, Kakashi by his side, as a few minutes later, Sasuke would arrive, pissed as ever that Naruto had killed the one thing that his whole life had been about, slamming on the door as Naruto would answer, Sasuke telling him, "You've got a hell of a nerve, Naruto. You killed Itachi, didn't you? It had to be you. His body had no injuries and yet he was dead. Did you use the same jutsu you used against Gaara to kill him?" Asking him fiercely, Naruto simply looking at Sasuke and telling him that he doesn't know the Reaper took over. Sasuke would look at him and scream, "Don't give me that, bogus. I'm not here to hear about how you can't control your power. Did you kill him or not?" Naruto saying he did. Sasuke grabbing him by the collar and telling him that he'll never forgive him. He robbed him of the opportunity of watching Itachi's life drain with his own hands. Naruto simply looking at Sasuke and telling him that he didn't mean to, as Sasuke would push him onto the ground, and in an instant Naruto feeling just pure bitter rage and still experiencing the emotions of the sadness of actually taking someone's life, Naruto's Reaper power would activate, him standing back up and asking Sasuke to do it again. However, Sasuke simply standing still would say, "What, you gonna kill me too with your new powers? Because if you are, you might as well make it quick, since it's not like I have much to live for anyways." And with Naruto realizing what he had just threatened his friend with, Naruto would snap out of the power, telling him that he's so sorry. Sasuke simply leaving, as Naruto would make his way towards the bathroom, washing his hands from, the ramen that was still on it. As staring into his reflection, Naruto could see the reflection of the Reaper behind him, grabbing at Naruto's face in the mirror, not literally, and telling him that everything's okay, before suddenly transforming into the vestiges of Minato and Kushina, both telling Naruto that they love him. As Naruto recognizing who these must be, the blonde hair and the eyes that Kushina had, Naruto would understand clearly. Those were his parents. And as they would tell him that everything's okay and that the Reaper's not evil, Naruto would nod, before then snapping his head out of it and saying, "No, what? My parents can't possibly talk to me. They're both dead." Before understanding what the Reaper must have done, and then throwing like kunai straight at the mirror that was reflecting him, he would shatter it, the Reaper having a smile on its face all the while this was happening, as Naruto would get pissed off, before suddenly realizing that that's the trigger, his anger. Every time he gets angry, the Reaper's just free to do whatever it wants with his body. So Naruto, calming himself down, taking a moment to breathe and relax, would make his way towards Hiruzen's office, using the exercises he would have learned from Jiraiya to calm himself. And once making it to Hiruzen's office, he would explain to him what's happening, how he believes that the Reaper's trying to take over his body, and how it literally even showed him the images of his dead parents. He says it looked more like vestiges. Hiruzen would apologize for not having explained what his, hypothesis was of what the Reaper was doing earlier, and telling Naruto that for now, he's afraid he's going to have to pull Naruto out of the shinobi program, since being a shinobi is just going to increase Naruto's likelihood of growing stronger, which is already extremely dangerous enough because Naruto is already a ticking time bomb. He's easily the strongest inside of the village with his Reaper powers active, and if Naruto's allowed to grow even stronger, giving access to the Reaper to more capabilities, who knows what kind of devastation could occur. Plus, having him on the field as an active ninja would lead to many scenarios where Naruto would feel rage, so having him out there without controlling his abilities, it's just not viable. As Naruto would hear this, he would ask, then what's he supposed to do? Just stay cooped up meditating all day? He's not a monk, he would say. He would ask Hiruzen to help him deal with the problem rather than ignore it, but Hiruzen would tell him that he's thought of ways to deal with it, but there is none. Explaining to Naruto that there's no known jutsu that can bypass whatever the Reaper's doing. Explaining to Naruto that sealing it isn't an option, seeing as the Reaper Death Seal is the most powerful seal, and it can't use the power of the Reaper on itself. Plus, no other seal would even have a remote chance of working on the Reaper, at least not if it didn't want it to. So there's nothing. The only thing Hiruzen could think of to put a stop to the problem immediately would be to get rid of Naruto himself, but there's no way he's gonna do that, not after the promise he made to his father, he would say. And so as Naruto would stare at Hiruzen, Hiruzen would get up, placing his hand on his shoulder and looking to Naruto, telling him that though the power might be fun, and though he may be one of the strongest ninjas in the world when he accesses it, it's too dangerous to let it run amok. What if the Reaper intends on simply stealing everyone's souls? What then? How are they going to counter the Reaper? He would ask, as Naruto would be sitting there just like, there has to be a way. Believe it. We'll find it. And then I can go back on missions, right? With Sasuke and Sakura? Hiruzen simply nodding no, that effective immediately, he's already been released from Team 7. Naruto looking to Hiruzen with the sad expression before kind of just walking out of the room not saying anything. This is when Naruto would return back to his room, nothing but silence, trying his best to keep the anger inside of him, but as he would sit down, tears would just start welling up. Naruto realizing that if he can't feel anger, then he'll just feel sadness. And that's exactly what he would do, diving head first into the pillow as he screams into it and the tears begin pouring out. Eventually, a few hours would pass and Naruto's eyes would be glossy and just look like he had definitely been crying for a while. This is when Jiraiya would enter the room and try to talk to Naruto, tell him that things are going to be okay and that he actually needs somebody to come along with him. Naruto looking to Jiraiya would tell him that he doesn't need somebody to let him down easy, Jiraiya explaining to him that that's not what he's doing, going on to tell Naruto that he's actually offering him an opportunity to still go on missions while not having to deal with most of the backlash of them, plus he can help him get control over his mind. Naruto looking to Jiraiya would say, do you mean it? Jiraiya looking to him and saying, you ever known me to lie? Naruto saying, yes actually, you lie all the time. Jiraiya going, forget all that. Come on, are we going or not? Naruto looking at him and just being like, all right, let me get my stuff. As Jiraiya grabs Naruto by the arm and says, no time, didn't tell the Hokage, as they run off and then they kind of just disappear. Alright, so I'm recording the final part of this video on a different day, so if I sort of lost the plot to the story, that's my bad. But anyways, what ends up happening after the events of Naruto and Jiraiya going off on their 3-year training time skip is that instead of solely focusing Naruto on learning new jutsus or different taijutsu fight style variants, Jiraiya instead focuses more so on meditation, keeping Naruto calm, and whenever there's a mission that Jiraiya knows might come with the possibility to trigger Naruto, he pretty much just has him sit back. At first, Naruto would have been like, I got this, believe it! But Jiraiya would have been like, no you don't, kid. So after some time would pass, eventually Naruto would find himself pretty freaking good at controlling his emotions, specifically anger. Naruto still kind of sucks at controlling sadness and stuff like that because honestly, it's not rare that Naruto thinks about the predicament that he's in and kind of starts letting that take over at bare minimum. Jiraiya does his best to be a light for Naruto's life, and once we would get into the about 1 year point of their training, this is when Jiraiya would tell Naruto, remember that friend he had mentioned that could potentially help him with his troubles? And Naruto would be like, yeah, so are we finally gonna meet him? Jiraiya telling him that they are. As, Naruto gets his changed outfit, he grew a little bit in that year, and we then jump cut to Naruto at Mount Miyaboku, this time with Jiraiya, which would be pretty interesting, because Jiraiya would be there to guide Naruto and actually probably finish his own Sage Mode training, which would make him a lot more formidable in the story and could potentially lead to a different outcome when he has his pain fight. That said though, Naruto's training, because it wouldn't be rushed this time, would be something he could take a lot more comfort in. But I'm not gonna lie, bro would definitely try to rush the training considering what he actually has to eat while he's there. And with that being the case, we eventually get Naruto learning the transformation of Sage Mode. Naruto would have had a literal 2 years without the Reaper coming out even once. And so Naruto and Jiraiya would believe that Naruto might just be ready for normal missions. So for the final year of their training, Jiraiya would actually allow Naruto to be a part of it, grooming him into be more of a, tactician ninja who takes things seriously and gets the job done. Naruto sort of resembles a bit of a Kakashi persona by the end of everything, and when Naruto would actually return back to the village after the 3-year training time skip, Hiruzen would be waiting for Naruto in his office. And when Naruto would body flicker inside, Hiruzen would be shocked Naruto, is that you, boy? Naruto looking at Hiruzen and telling him, yep, the one and only. As Hiruzen staring at Naruto would be like, wow, you've changed. Naruto saying, yeah, grew a bit taller, and I even let my hair grow out. Hiruzen kind of just staring at Naruto in shock and just being like, well, did the Reaper come out in all that time? Naruto looking to Hiruzen and saying, no, it actually didn't. Saying that, if anything, he feels like he has perfect control over his emotions. He doesn't think anything could piss him off or make him sad. Jiraiya's tried countless times, and the more he tries, the better I get at controlling my abilities. Hiruzen looking to the direction of Naruto would then nod as he would say that maybe he was mistaken in not allowing Naruto to do anything, apologizing before telling Naruto that he made the right choice, before Jiraiya would enter the village, and it's here where Hiruzen looking at Jiraiya would place his hand over his shoulder saying that they need, or more specifically he needs, to talk about his replacement. Jiraiya being like, gotta go, as Hiruzen would be like, no, you're staying right here, Jiraiya. Before then saying, I've been stuck at this desk for years, and now I think I'm ready to pass this torturous job to someone else. Smiling at Jiraiya, who would kind of just have this look of like, oh, but I'll go get Tsunade. She could. But Jiraiya would just look at him, nod no, or sorry, Hiruzen, and tell him that he wants him to be the Hokage, to grant this old man his final wish, and to let him at least enjoy the final years of his life. Jiraiya, at hearing this, would nod, saying okay, as Jiraiya would then have a ceremony crowning him Kage, with there not being any sort of, like tailed beast mission. Y'all remember how Gar had gotten captured by the Akatsuki? Yeah, that doesn't happen. Keep in mind, Gar doesn't have Shukaku. In fact, bro's dead. So yeah, there's nothing to cover there. So instead, we kind of just jump cut to what would happen afterwards, which actually also doesn't happen, considering that it would be the Orochimaru plot point. And with bro having no arms, Itachi already being dead, there's no real reason for Sasuke to fall to the dark side. At least, fall so far into the dark side he actually goes with Orochimaru. And so with that being the case, the village would actually experience a couple of months of peace, or weeks, I think. No, months. Let's say months. A couple of months of peace. Naruto back at his home is just doing his usual meditation and kind of living out a normal day-to-day life, having actually decided to get himself a part-time job, seeing as missions aren't exactly paying the bills nowadays. And Hiruzen, well, let's just say Hiruzen believes Naruto to be old enough where he should no longer have to do that. And with that being the case, Naruto would work part-time at Ichiraku Ramen. As we kind of just jump cut to Naruto working there, with Sasuke and Sakura arriving, asking Naruto what he's doing here. Naruto explaining that this is his part-time job. Sasuke making fun of him and saying, so you quit being a ninja to serve up smiles. That sounds like fun, especially with all that power inside you. What? Do you think you don't need to train anymore to get strong? Kind of like testing Naruto to see if he's down to fight or something like that. But Naruto just stays perfectly calm, asking Sasuke if he would want something, and telling the both of them that it's on the house. At this, both of them would sit down, eat, and enjoy Naruto's food. Teuchi smiling as he would kind of whisper to Naruto's ear, that's coming out of your paycheck. Naruto saying that he knows and honestly doesn't mind. That said, as this would all be taking place, this is when suddenly an explosion would burst throughout the hidden leaf, and it would actually be Pain, who would be in the sky, uttering, Shinra Tensei, destroying a massive section of the village and causing death and devastation everywhere Naruto looked. In this moment, Naruto's eyes would grow wide, having noticed that countless buildings in the Hidden Leaf Village were utterly annihilated, not to mention that Teuchi, he was dead. A piece of loose plywood that had flown away had jammed itself into Teuchi's body, and the man was completely lifeless. Blood was draining out of him. Even his daughter was dead, and she was blown like a mile away. As Naruto would look up, his eardrums would be ringing like it's almost like a scene of like a natural disaster going on, and he sees Sasuke in his eyes, who picks him up and tells Naruto that he needs to get out of here. But as all this would be taking place, and Naruto was just kind of sitting there confused as to what's even going on, refusing to believe that this isn't just another genjutsu that Jiraiya or someone placed on him, Naruto would try to wake himself out of it, break the genjutsu. But as Naruto would find himself unable to, and then look towards the direction of the sky to see the culprit, Naruto's rage would take over. Filled with the sadness of having lost Teuchi, Naruto in this moment would snap, as we would witness the power of the Reaper take over, manifesting in an entire mask, cloak, and scythe that would appear. Then we would see that both eyes of Naruto under the mask were fully purple, that of the Shinigami. In an instant, the Shinigami would rush towards the direction of Pain with a smile under its mask as it tears at the bodies of the Pain puppets that he would be using. The moment this would happen, he would rip the partial soul or chakra out of the corpses as he would take them out one by one, not even allowing them to even watch him move. This is on some Dragon Ball Z type timing, like genuinely, because he's just flashing all over the place, and next thing you know, the freaking Pain corpses are either being split in half or into eighths, and as Pain's diva path would shoot a blast of energy towards it, sending it backwards so it can't attack it, Pain would simply have to watch as Naruto's scythe would cut through that body before a smile would appear through the mask, like at the mask would smile, right? In an instant, Naruto's body, now using the Reaper's abilities in Sage Mode, mind you, which is not only strengthening Naruto's body at itself, but also giving this Reaper these crazy sensory abilities, which means that once he would arrive at Nagato, it would just kind of be a massacre. Us watching as the Reaper would lunge towards him, Konan getting in the way as her soul would quickly be extracted. Reaper not even wasting the time to use his scythe on her, simply grabbing her by the neck the moment he makes contact with her, draining her soul out. Then piercing Nagato straight through the neck with his scythe and ripping out both Rinnegan, since Nagato won't be having any need for them. And with the Reaper standing there, we would simply see Naruto inside of this mindscape type area, as Naruto, now borderline fully having given control to the Reaper, would look around a strange cage, seeing all of the souls of those the Reaper has taken, at least while he was in Naruto's body. His father would be within it, and as Naruto would stare at him, he would question where he went wrong. Minato staring at him and telling him that he never went wrong anywhere, and that from the moment he made the stupid decision to seal the demon fox within him via the Reaper death seal, he sealed everyone's fate. Minato would apologize for that, telling Naruto that now it seems that there's nothing they can do, but watch the Reaper do what it's going to and simply let history take its course. He would tell Naruto that there's one good thing: the Reaper chose a human body, and there's limitations on it. One day the Reaper's either gonna wear it out or simply get bored of the power that it now has access to. And as Naruto and Minato would kind of sit there, Naruto would look around at the people whose souls was already snatched, then pissed off, saying that it was Naruto's fault that they found themselves here. Naruto apologizing for everything that he's done to them. A voice ringing out, which would be Itachi's, who would tell everybody to calm down, that what's done is done, and their souls are already stuck here, so they can either make the best of it or shut up. And as Naruto would look at his father once more, they would all kind of like start watching what the body of Naruto would start doing. And to put it lightly, bro does a little bit of a reset on the world, if you guys are getting my drift. Leaf Village is cooked, by the way. He pretty much goes around and straight up just destroys everything. It's absolute carnage. The Reaper basically goes around the Naruto world, giving it a literal cleansing. And by that, I mean literally killing off every single person who could use chakra. Destroying literal villages in an instant, taking on the organization of the Akatsuki, and eventually, with more and more time passing, more and more souls would start to be devoured by the body of Naruto, as it would kind of become like a Naruto cool character party inside of Naruto's little domain thing that he would have, which, mind you, the tailed fox would be a part of as well. Oh, and Shukaku would as well. So everybody there just kind of has to like make do with, damn, like, so this is it now. As years and years have passed, like kind of similar to the Cell Saga, you know how like the androids would just go around killing people, and like a bunch of people just started coming to heaven, and we got like that one dude over there like checking everyone in. He's just like, Goku, you couldn't have stopped this. You know what I mean? Like that's the equivalent of what's going down, until eventually Naruto would kind of just get to a point in age where his body would give up after having, you know, used the power of the Reaper for so many years. Its body would have drained out in about let's say 6 years. So with the entirety of the world all kind of still remembering chakra and the great cleansing via the Reaper, all of the souls within the belly of Naruto would all be dispersed, as only 2 would face the real wrath of the Reaper. When everything would be said and done, Naruto and Minato's souls would be consumed, as the Reaper would grin, knowing that it had its fair share of fun. The end. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys thought about this story. I wanted to do something a bit darker, seeing as I haven't done something like that specifically for Naruto in a while. And I was like, you know what, let's do something like that that could be kind of entertaining, makes for some decently cool moments, and call it a day, because I was just trying to have a blast with this story, and safe to say, I think I did. So let me know what other ideas you guys want to see from Naruto down below in the comment section. Commission a what if you guys feel like it. And it has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.